Hello, everyone, and welcome to our OPSWAT webinar. Today, we will be presenting why an enforceable security policy is a must to protect critical infrastructure. During this webinar, you'll have the opportunity to participate in a number of polls, and should you have any questions, please post them in the Q&A section. Thank you. So my name is Matt Wiseman. I'm the Director of Product Marketing here at OPSWAT. I look after a lot of the OT business. I've spent almost 10 years now working in OT cybersecurity across a number of different industries, very much with a strong focus on critical infrastructure. And I'll let my colleague here introduce himself.
Hello, everyone. My name is Vu. I'm Senior Product Marketing Manager. I have plenty of years working in IT industry and removable media manufacturer brands. So nice to meet you. And hopefully everything that we share here is usable for your business as well. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, Vu. All right. So we want to kick things off by kind of setting the tone as to where things are in the industry. And hopefully, shed some light that can help you build the best security program possible. So when we break down some of these different reasons, this should be able to give you some extra context that you can use to really tailor your program to meet your organizational needs. So from a lot of different conversations I've been having over the last number of years, we've really found that organizations are quite vulnerable when it comes to peripheral media devices. Now, this could be vendor laptops that are arriving to site. It could be USB drives. It could be CDs. Any number of these different assets, devices, even cell phones. These are all potential attack vectors that we need to plan for. So there's a lot of different areas that come into play here. There are definitely very complex environments today. The convergence of IT and OT, what teams truly own these areas, how this space comes together. The adoption of cloud, particularly for critical infrastructure, is a big challenge. It's great to have access to that data. It's always ready. And there's a lot of strong business benefits from this, but from an operations point of view and from a security point of view, it can be hard when a lot of these systems were traditionally air-gapped. Again, a lot of new technology opens up a number of different areas for the attack surface. And again, compliance changes are quite frequent, and we're seeing more and more each day, whether that's from different regions, governments, or industries. There's a lot for organizations to try and balance today, which really adds to that complexity. We've seen a very quickly evolving threat landscape, particularly with peripheral media. We're seeing new and innovative attack techniques that were never seen before. And you truly do need to continue to reevaluate your security program on a regular basis to ensure that you have not only technology, but policy in place that plans for these new and modern threats. There's been a number of different supply chain attacks and vulnerabilities, issues around data leakage, and a number of different exploits. So there's a lot going on. I'd always highly recommend to chat with others in your industry if you can, chat with your vendors, and try and learn from as many people as you can to see the most complete picture of that threat landscape as possible. And of course, the human element, right? This is always really the weakest link in the chain when it comes to cybersecurity. People will often try and find the easiest means to get something done, not always the most secure. So we need to ensure that we have a lot of practical training. We help with certifications. We help with really socializing and creating that culture of cybersecurity that can be so beneficial for an organization. Each of these areas are very critical when we talk about minimizing those vulnerabilities for your organization. So we've seen a number of threats. Again, I referenced this in the last slide, but there's more and more coming forward each day. We're seeing activity from nation states. We're seeing even accidental attacks where there's not necessarily somebody targeted, and there's a insider that slipped up, didn't think they're doing anything, and all of a sudden there's an outage. So things really do vary, but there's been a lot of intensifying when it comes to these different threats that we have to manage. So I wanted to chat through compliance. Again, this is another key area when it comes to your policy. Compliance is ever changing. We see things move from different areas of the world, and we are seeing a lot of larger fines come into place lately, which again is a major concern. You never want to be shut down. You never want to deal with these additional financial impacts to your business, but you do need to remain as secure as possible. One benefit in both of our roles is that we do get to work with a lot of different organizations around the world, and we're able to learn from these best practices and policies from each of these regions. So it is nice to learn from a compliance point of view what we're seeing, what benefits are being drawn up in these different policies, and use that to help tailor the best security program for your organization. There's been a number of different shifts lately, particularly around removable media and peripheral media devices, particularly NERC CIP is a big one. We've seen ANSI out of France. There's been TSA, US Executive Order, and then even some things from NIST, ISO 62443. There's all these different areas that we could leverage. But the real story is, we need to stay on top of compliance to avoid any of those potential regulatory challenges. But we also should learn from these, whether or not they are specific to your industry. They are trying to ensure the security of an industry, of a region, and to really ensure that these businesses aren't impacted. So there's always something you can learn from some of these different policies. All right, so now we're going to jump into scan enforcement, and I'll hand things over to Vo to talk about that.
Okay, thank you, Matt. Hi, everyone. I'd like to present to you about the scan enforcement technology and why it is a must for protecting the critical infrastructure. We will talk about the genesis of the scan enforcement initiative. With the increasing reliance on removable media to transfer data into OT environments, had created a significant cybersecurity risk. And to address this kind of vulnerabilities, the concept of scan enforcement emerged as an extra shield to protect your critical OT environment. It led to a combination of Meta Defender Kiosk, Media Firewall, and ONVA as a bundle. And the next slide, we will talk about the media validation agent and the media firewall. As you can see in the screen, this is our demand for and the benefits for the scan enforcement. Here is just an example for the media firewall that we are building. We build based on the some of the benefit to bring to the customer. The first one, to enhance the data control. The organizations can gain a greater visibility and control over the data entering their OT network. Secondly, the adherence to compliance standard. The scan enforcement have to ensure the compliance with industry specific regulation and best practice. And the third one, it is protecting against the cyber threats by enforcing scanning policy. Organization can mitigate the risk of malicious attack by our removable media. And the fourth one, it is empowering OT personnel. There's a lot of old school employee working out there, and with this kind of solution, we empower them to make them to have more informative decisions about data and removable media uses. By understanding the scanning status of data, they can proactively manage risks and maintain the integrity of their system. Coming up next, we will talk about clearly about this. As you can see on the screen, we will talk about the OT system, the legacy one that had been established like long time ago, 20 to 30 years. So we focus those products based on to solving the problem on the compatibilities and flexibility. This is a multi-layer approach to the OT cybersecurity. So with this technology, including Meta Defender, Media Validation Agent, and Media Firewall, this is adding an additional layer of protection to complement existing security measure, and also integrating with the Meta Defender Kiosk, and it established the enforceable scanning policy that govern the data flow into the OT environment. And those products also focus and based on the Purdue model framework that is critical for the ICS network from corporate network to the internet, and it will be used as a baseline architecture for others ICS framework as well. For the media validation agent, you can see this is support a lot of legacy system by using the Windows SV3. Yeah, this is a very old version of Windows, so it's very flexible and bring a lot of comfortable to deploy on the market. And coming up next, we talk deeply about the Meta Defender Media Firewall and some of the benefits. So you can see that this is the hardware-based protections. So the media firewall provide hardware-based approach to the OT cybersecurity and eliminate the need for the software installations on the host system like SCADA or SMI. Some of the old school customer, they don't want any interference in their system. They don't want to configure or change anything if it is stable. And it is core feature including like the data validation, and also boot sector and outrun protections, and remote management with the capabilities to streamline the security operation and reduce the administrative overhead. This product also deployed already in some of our customer in laboratory in Canada, the electricity generation in New Zealand, and the steel manufacturing facility in Turkey. And for coming up next, we will talk about the ONVA. This is the software-based approach, and this is used by a lot of our customers right now, and it become a trending for our business. So this tool is like a personalized security agent tailored for the legacy workstations that have been in service for around 20 years. So its key advantages is compatibility. So you can see this support a wide range of the Windows operation system, and ensure the compatibility in both client and server environment. And the third, the another benefits for this product is like it's bring the flexible deployment. This agent offer a variety of deployment options adapting to the unique requirement of different legacy system. So you can see some of the SCADA devices update will require the removable media device to upgrade the firmware. And also some of the cyber attack also with the vector like removable media, like Subnet in 2010 also use the USB to attack to the system, to the nuclear reactor. So that's why this tool we have the organization for file integrity check and data validation, and make the critical system is safe from the harmful data from outside. So the upcoming next, Matt will share to you some exciting our collaboration with Emerson.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Bo. So yes, as mentioned, we will be going through some different use cases here. So now we've kind of we detailed the industry, explained why this is very important to go beyond simply scanning. You need to have some type of tool in place that goes beyond a policy to help you with truly enforcing that scan and ensure that all drives have been scanned before they can access critical assets. So here you'll see some different proven use cases, some stories from the field, how this technology has come together, and potentially something that could work for your organization. All right, so to kick things off here, Bo, did you want to walk through the hardware-based validation with the media firewall, then the software, and then I'll jump in for some of the later details.
Yeah, thank you, Matt. So I would like to explain to you this use case. This is a hardware-based media validations. This is a flow of data and removable media from Kiosk to media firewall for data validations, and only allow data can get access to the critical environment. The Kiosk will play a role at the first line of defense, scanning the removable media before it's entered to the critical network. And after go through the air gap, the media firewall establish a hardware-based fortified perimeter around your critical system and preventing unauthorized access from removable media. That's mean that all the unscanned data cannot escape this device, and it will have all the OT personnel control their data better. This ironclad defense also against the malware, the ransomware, and others potential file that is unauthorized to the OT network. Moreover, the media firewall provide the compatibilities with multiple removable media format. And for the software-based media validations, from this diagram, you can see this is also the data flows from Meta Defender Kiosk to OMVA to products working together as a bundle. And it is help the organizations to solve the problem on the workstation, because the OMVA is a lightweight tool, so it's worked very well for the workstation that have the legacy hardware. It's very safe and also support the personnel to protect the data from outside. When the Meta Defender Kiosk provide a crucial layer for protections by scanning this file, the OMVA acts as the vigilant sentinel and meticulously examining every file on the removable media for suspicious activity by verify the integrity and authenticity of the content. So OMVA ensure that only authorized and scanned data enter to your critical environment. So upcoming next, Max will explain to you like another use case.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Bo. So here we see how both of these pieces of technology can come together. I'm sure a lot of you have some type of scanning technology in your environment, whether that's a homegrown system, some type of commercial product, but something you're using to scan USBs, CDs, SD cards, any type of media that might be entering. Often where there is a gap is when it comes to that scan enforcement, right? Sure, scanning is good. We all should be doing it. But how do you know everyone are scanning the drives before they enter the site? And that's where I think you need to ensure that you have something in place. So going beyond policy to have some type of true technology helping with scan enforcement, whether it's done by installing a very lightweight software agent onto those compatible systems, or if you don't want to install anything at all, leveraging the media firewall. Again, no installation, no software required, but you simply plug your drive from that kiosk into the media firewall. We do the check to ensure everything's safe. And then from there, you can use that drive as normal. So a great way to have that extra layer of coverage, whether it's software or hardware required for your organization or a blend of the two. So I wanted to take a second here and talk about our work with Emerson. So we are an alliance member, and when it comes to securing their DeltaV systems, we have a full white paper together detailing how our media validation agent works with their DeltaV systems. So great to be able to install this on DeltaV to ensure that all patches, updates, logs, anytime you need to use removable media, you can count on the OPSWAT media validation agent to give you that extra layer of control and protection. Anytime somebody is entering your facility to use some type of media, if they do not scan at a kiosk, it will not be accessible when trying to use that drive on a DeltaV system. So again, great to have that extra peace of mind when you're talking about your production equipment. So here's a quick use case. There's an organization we helped to really optimize their removable media security program. They had a number of different kiosks throughout the facility. They wanted a way to manage and view some dashboarding and visibility. We were able to help with that. It really went a long way for reporting up to management, as well as any type of audits that they may have faced. Additionally, they use both hardware and software controls here, using the media validation agent as a software tool where they were able to install that. And on other systems like HMIs and PLCs where they were unable to install an agent, that they were able to rely on the media firewall sitting next to it as a nice ingest point for any of those scanned USB drives that have entered the facility. Again, so very nice to go beyond simply scanning. You're no longer relying on the honor system of, oh, well, I hope everybody scanned their drives before entering the facility today. It's nice to have that true peace of mind that technology is coming into play and will catch any unscanned drives before they enter your production systems. So here, again, we can talk a little bit more about the reporting and the management. It does go a long way to have a number of kiosks and have some type of management tool in place. I've heard from many different organizations that they were able to cut down their time preparing for audits or collecting logs or performing updates by up to 95%. Again, depending on your industry, sometimes there are some pretty intensive audit processes you have to go through for your security program. And for this organization, they told us it was a major help. They could have their security teams actually focus on their security goals and not simply preparing for an audit. So having that extra visibility, the extra data when you need it, and just that ease of update and management really does go a long way to simplifying things and allows you to focus on your core business goals. So here we can see a number of different pieces of technology come into play. I know that Vo and I here have focused pretty heavily on media scanning with a kiosk and allowing some type of scan enforcement, whether with the media firewall or with the media validation agent. But there are a number of different tools and different ways you can do this. Similar to the kiosk for scanning media, there's also an endpoint solution that we have available. So if you do have laptops that you're bringing in and you want to be able to scan directly on those laptops, that's always an option. We also have a MetaDefender Drive solution, again, leveraging that same scanning technology, but it's actually designed to scan any vendor laptop. So if you're unable to install software, but you still want to scan to ensure that that device is free from any type of malware or harmful viruses, you can go in, scan, and ensure that it's clean and free for use within your production network. So regardless of the tool that you're using, there's multi-scanning. Based on what you choose, we have nearly 40 antivirus engines. There's deep CDR technology, a sandbox available, a vulnerability engine, just a ton of different technology that's baked into these solutions. We'd be thrilled to have a larger conversation with you about what we can do to help build you a really robust security program around peripheral and removable media security. So here's one of my favorite use cases, and this one's a little bit outside the box. But again, extremely valuable, so beneficial. And the organization that we helped with this was absolutely thrilled. So here, instead of the traditional means of scanning your USB at a kiosk, taking that USB, walking into a facility, and then plugging it into into the system that may have the media validation agent or the media firewall, which is a great security program, they really did want to go a step further. So they added a set of data diodes. So they were able to scan their files as normal at the kiosk, actually transfer those scanned, safe, secure files through a diode, through an air gap, into what we call our managed file transfer system. And now this is a secure storage platform where we can actually scan the files on a regular basis. So something you scanned a week ago that may have been totally safe and fine and free from any potential concerns, the following week could have a known CVE. And there's a major vulnerability, you need to be aware of that. But in a traditional sense, you might not have that visibility. The managed file transfer system will scan all files that were brought in on a regular basis, again, based on your data storage policies, to allow you to know if there's any new threats, potentially a zero-day uncovered, or of course, any new vulnerabilities that pop up. It also works in the sense of DLP as well. Files need to be approved to be transferred into the system and then also approved to be transferred out. So it's a great way to have full visibility and understanding of what's entering or leaving your facility. I've had a number of customers in the past that would have really benefited from this and had some pretty challenging situations that they ended up having to work their way through. So again, nice to think outside the box, learn from these different use cases, and try to see what you can draw from other industries that might be beneficial for your environment. Of course, we do have a number of different support programs available. So not only do we try and set you up with best-in-class technology, but we're also here to work through things with you. We really do view security as a partnership. It's not something that you simply do once and then walk away from. We want to share all the best things that we're learning with you, include a lot of value add and research into the products, ensure we're always optimizing things, and that you can run your business as successfully as possible. With that, we do have a number of different support programs available, 24/7, 365, of course. And then we can even go a step further with some managed service. If you don't want to worry about this at all, you can kind of take your hands off and we can manage and update all the systems for you. So again, whatever works best for your organization, but we are here as a support, of course. All right. So with that, I'd like to thank you so much for joining us today. If you have any comments or questions, we'd love to hear from them. But thank you so much. And I'll hand things here to Vo for a final thank you and sign off.
Thank you, Matt. Okay, with there's continuous involvement cyber threat landscape. So we our team also working day and night to create the many solutions to support you guys. So we also deploy many scan enforcement use case in many sites in different countries like Canada, Australia, New Zealand, Turkey, Singapore, and many regions around the world. So we hope that to support you, and we try not to protect the device only, but also the people who rely on them ultimately. So to secure the way of life we all cherish. So for the technical detail and the expert advice, you can scan the QR code or visit our website for here and connect with our team. So we're here to support you, and thank you very much for your time listening to our sharing.
Perfect. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great day.
Okay, have a great day.